Hey guys, this is EckhartsLadder. Hello and welcome to another Halo lore video. Before we get into today's content, I'd like to ask you guys to follow me over at twitch.tv/EckhartsLadder. I've been streaming random games for the past 4 nights, and I'm having a ton of fun interacting with you guys. I'd like to make this a real thing, streaming Halo, Star Wars, and just random games, so if you'd like to support me, the link will be down in the description. But enough selling out, onto today's topic. The Halo universe features many mysteries. Piece by piece, as readers and watchers, we discover new information. Sometimes something we thought was true turns out not to be. Other times, we discover bits of information that seem to paint opposite narratives. Today, we'll be looking at one of Halo's most ancient mysteries, the Forerunner-Precursor War. Much of this enigmatic conflict is nebulous. However, we can gather bits of lore to form an image of what might have happened. Let's first take a look at how the conflict began. 15 million years ago, the Precursors created the Forerunners and seeded them on the planet Gibalb. Over the course of time, the Forerunners became more advanced, reaching a level of technological sophistication which allowed them to perform stellar engineering. However, their early attempts resulted in the near extinction of their species, as they caused a series of supernova explosions which rendered their homeworld uninhabitable. The Forerunners would come to believe that they would inherit the mantle of responsibility, but 10 million years ago, the Precursors decided that the mantle would instead be passed to humanity. Now, there were 2 accounts of what happened. The Forerunners decided to overthrow their creators. Some accounts say that the attack was unprovoked and that the Forerunners decided to do so out of jealousy of the revelation that humanity would inherit the mantle. Another account states that the Precursors decided to eradicate the Forerunners as a problematic species, as the Precursors would sometimes erase their creations. The truth of what actually happened remains a mystery, and the narrative told depends on the bias of the person or thing telling the tale. The Forerunners, led by the then dominant warrior caste, fought the Precursors. Too stunned and marveled by the sheer violence employed by their creation, the Precursors decided not to defend themselves, according to an account of the Gravemind at least. They were hunted down across the Milky Way, but the war would become extragalactic. The Forerunners chased down the Precursor to Path Chthona, known to us as the Large Magellanic Cloud. To move their fleets across such a vast distance, the ancient Forerunners utilized spherical probability mirrors to deal with counterbalancing the causal reconciliation of the Forerunner ships, in doing so eliminating causal paradox involved with slip space travel, especially slip space travel involving massive objects. The ancient Forerunner fleets were designed with the eradication of Precursors in mind. Unfortunately, we don't know much about their technology, besides for, as I mentioned, the way they combated causal paradox, as well as their use of binary storage. Regardless, they would emerge victorious against their creators. However, some of the Precursors hid, going in stasis or changing their form into a powder. This powder would later become defective and bring misery as it became the Flood. Another Precursor, known as the Primordial, placed itself in dormancy within an asteroid some 9 million years ago. It would later be discovered by ancient humanity. The Precursor's consciousness would be shared with the future Graveminds. The Forerunners of this time did not know how to deal with Precursor structures made of neural physics, so many of the ancient race's structures remained untouched until the firing of the Halo rings. However, interestingly, the Forerunners that left the galaxy did not return home. Some at least would stay there, planting themselves within the planet of Path Chthona. Many were overcome with the guilt and shame of the Forerunners' violent actions, and thus altered their genetics so they would become simple plants or animals to be consumed by other Forerunners. Others chose simply to live out a simple life until the end of their days. The surviving individuals, however, also developed a sort of biological domain on the planet in order to share and record the memories of what they had done. Many of the particular painful memories were offloaded to a canyon where a special type of moss or lichen inscribed them upon the rock walls. This strange and perverse ecology would be presumably destroyed after a Halo ring targeted the satellite galaxy to eliminate Precursor constructs. Comparatively modern Forerunners, including the Librarian, were able to witness these Forerunners and the biome before it was wiped out forever. Back in the Milky Way, in the aftermath of victory, warriors would eventually become a less important rate within Forerunner society, and would become warrior servants instead. Those who sought out the truth of the Precursors would usually be hushed, crushed by warriors and builders. Over time, Forerunner society would come to believe that they rightfully inherited the mantle, the truth of the genocide being hidden from most. It is this war, however, which would create the seeds of the Flood, a form of life created only to bring misery and pain. The Precursors judged the Forerunners unworthy, and with massive acts of violence, the Forerunners proved them right. Their arrogance and their rebellion against their creators would ultimately lead to the greatest threat ever faced by the Milky Way galaxy, the Flood, a biological creation and result of decayed precursor remains, weaponized by the Precursors as a means to remove biodiversity and difference within the galaxy, ensuring ultimate peace, while also offering the promise that no child of the Precursors would ever again rise against them. The Precursor Flood War thus saw not only the degradation of the Forerunner race, but also the breaking of the moral superiority of the Precursors, leading to the unleashing of a galaxy-threatening terror. And that, my friends, is the story of the Precursor Forerunner War. Anyway, today's question of the day comes from the Moth, who asks, who is the better slicer, Drusel, Beforen, or Ghent? That's actually a good one. I will admit I did not remember at all who Beforen was, but given we're naturally incredibly talented mathematicians, we see that time and time again in Star Wars Legends. Some, I believe, could even calculate hyperspace routes in their head. According to Star Wars Wikipedia, Beforen was an even more talented given, so that says a lot about his ability. That being said, I think Ghent is probably the most exceptional talent in the Star Wars universe when it comes to slicing. And for those who don't know, slicers are hackers. I think Ghent is definitely the best decryptor in the entire galaxy, in both Legends and canon. Given enough time with a transmission, he could crack apart even the toughest encryption. Even before his teenage years, he was breaking apart what were previously thought to be unbreakable Imperial encryption codes, something entire teams of New Republic scientists had made no headway on. After that, he had 30 plus years of experience as a lead technician within the New Republic, so I think I have to give it to Ghent, especially because the Given's main expertise was also code breaking, again an area where I think Ghent is unbeatable. That's just my opinion though. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, I hope you enjoyed the question. If you have any you'd like me to answer in the future, leave it down below with the hashtag AskEck. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, this has been EckhartsLadder. May the Force be with you.